Hey, we're in business. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study of the local universe sons of God, and we're on page 386.2 of the original Urantia book, and we're on paper 35, section 2, paragraph 4. Let's say a little prayer and we will get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight that we might study your revelation. We thank you for the opportunity to do this. Pray that you'll be with us tonight. Open our hearts and minds that we might remember a little bit of this and share it with others. We thank you. We give you the praise. We say this in the name of your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Rodney, how's your face doing? Is it better? Good, good. Rodney got a little bit of poison ivy around his eyes. So.
Yeah, I got in a fight with poison ivy and hit one.
How you doing, Les? Nice to see you tonight. Well, let's get started here. Gary, would you take the first paragraph?
Yeah, I'm glad to see you back.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
You want me to start?
Yeah, why don't you start?
The Melchizedeks function as mobile and advisory review courts of the realms. These universe sons go in small groups to the worlds to serve as advisory commissions, to take depositions, to receive suggestions, and to act as counselors, thus helping to compose the major difficulties and settle the serious differences which arise from time to time in the affairs of the evolutionary domains.
Okay, so part of the function, like we were talking about the Melchizedeks last time and how many things they do, going out to planets and local systems, that sort of thing. They actually act as some of the review boards and advisory courts for everyone in the realm, everyone in the local universe. And they go out in small groups and serve as advisory commissions. They actually take depositions in cases, just like when Lucifer rebelled on our planet. They would take all the information down and take it to the Most Highs and eventually to the Ancients of Days, and let them know what happened, why it happened, that sort of thing, and actually try to keep things like rebellion from happening. For instance, the 12 Melchizedeks that came to the planet when Caligaster rebelled, they had to come and take over the government of the planet, okay? Because once he rebelled, then we were kicked out of the system. We were kicked, we were quarantined in essence. So they had to send 12 Melchizedeks to literally act as administrators of the planet. And this is part of their job when difficulties come up. And they talk about here major difficulties and serious differences. So I would call a difference between the planetary prince and the 100 that he brought with it, that would be a pretty serious difference, wouldn't you say? When the head rebels and 40 of the people do not, right? Did you have a question, Jane?
Yes, Roger, I do have a question. So my question is, how come then, since after Jesus's resurrection, they had to withdraw from this planet? Is that correct?
Right. Well, they in essence withdrawed, and yet they came back again. Okay,
Pardon
as
me?
Counselors, they came
No,
back
I'm
again.
talking about the ones that followed Caligaster, and those who rebelled were removed. They are no longer a factor on this planet.
Yeah, that's true, but we did not have a acting planetary prince after Caligaster rebelled. So as soon as they put us in quarantine, it took away the power of Caligaster. So he was no longer in charge from the moment they declared that he had rebelled, right? So that's why they had to send 12 Melchizedeks to the planet to administer the planet from that time all the way up to Adam and Eve. Now, when
Yes.
Adam and Eve came, they retired again, right? Until Adam and Eve defaulted, and so they had to come back once again, right?
Right. My question is, why did they not reinstate us after Jesus's resurrection?
Because Caligastia had, and those who rebel had not been adjudicated. Okay, so the way it works is this: on a system level, they could not replace Lucifer until they had a group of 3 Lenonondex sons to take the place of Caligastia, Satan, and his staff. Okay, so during that period of time, even though Satan had rebelled, he was still in charge technically. All right, but soon as they had available Verondidex sons to get to the system capital, right, Satania, then they took over. And it works the same way with a planet, with the exception they will not replace a planetary prince until after the adjudication normally, or by orders of the creator son. Okay, so it was Jesus's orders that the 12 Caligastia take over until Adam and Eve got here. Now, when Adam and Eve got here, they in essence was the government replacement for the Caligastia group. Make sense?
Mhm.
So when Adam and Eve came, they came with their they came with all the authority that Caligastia had. Now, when they defaulted, that's why the angel in the garden had to tell them they were guilty of default, because the moment they were guilty of default, the angel of the garden had to notify the system sovereign, right? And the system sovereign had to assign more Melchizedeks back to the planet. In essence, they used the same 12 probably that came the first time, right? Because they already knew what was going on. So they became the acting administration of the planet, the 12. Now, that stayed the same all the way through, you know, when Machiaventia Melchizedek came to the planet and incarnated, then the 12 was still on the planet. Okay, so they were still in charge. And one of the reasons they chose Machiaventia Melchizedek to incarnate, because the 12 Melchizedeks felt that the light or the concept of God the Father was dying out to the point it may disappear before Jesus actually got here for his bestowal. So that's why they brought Machiaventia Melchizedek, and he came to Salem, right? Which is now Jerusalem. Make sense?
Thank you.
Okay, so there has to be an ongoing administration all the time. Now, an interesting point is this: when Jesus came, he did not bring 12 Melchizedeks with him. Okay, I want to make sure that's clear, because I said last time, normally when a son of God comes to the planet, they always bring 12 Melchizedeks with them, and they do all the other sons, but not creator sons, because the 12 was already here. Makes sense? So that they were already working on the planet, so no 12 come with the creator sons when they come for their bestower or their incarnation, because there's already 12 on the planet. Okay, but any other son of God in a normal planet that has normal administration would have a planetary prince before the avonal son or the magisterial son appeared. It would already have a planetary prince. So they would already have on staff 12 Melchizedeks too. But those are not needed when the Avonal son comes, because they got a planetary prince. So when an Avonal son comes, and even if he comes as an incarnation, there's two ways that Avonal son comes. One is just as a magisterial son. They appear on the planet, they can make themselves visible. All the 12 Melchizedeks make themselves visible at the same time. Okay, so there's 12 and the magisterial. But if a Avonal son comes for an incarnation, they do it just like Jesus did. They come as babes. Okay, so the Avonal son will go through a life exactly like the Creator Son. They'll be born of woman as a babe and go through a life just like Jesus did. Okay,
What
big
did,
difference.
excuse me, what did Jesus do on Mount Hermon? I thought he discharged Lucifer or Caligastra.
Well, he didn't. He didn't really have to do that. What he said is he saw Satan fall as a lightning in the sky, because Satan had been taken off in chains to the Father's prison world. Okay, so that's really the significance of Mount Hermon, because Jesus really finished his requirements for his bestowal then. Okay, so soon as he got the approval from God the Father that he was satisfied with the bestowal, then Jesus in essence finished what he had to do. Everything he did after that was by his choice. Okay, so that's the real significance of Mount Hermon. But at that point, Lucifer was taken off and changed, not Caligastia. He was still on the planet. Now, interesting point is this: all the midwayers that had rebelled were still on the planet also. Okay, so all the midwayers were still on the planet until the day of Pentecost. And on the day of Pentecost, all rebel midwayers were removed from the planet. So all during the time of Jesus's bestowal and his life, the rebel midwayers were here to do all their misdeeds all the time Jesus was on the planet.
So they were basically the evil spirits.
They were the demons and the evil spirits during the time of Jesus.
Now the only midwayers that are left are the loyal midwayers.
Or the loyal midwayers, that's right.
So how do you account for the stuff that supposedly goes on now if the midwayers are good? Are they just mischievous?
No, evil within the hearts of men.
Huh?
Evil within the hearts of men. We manifest evil ourselves. We choose every day whether we're going to be loyal to God or evil, right? And as long as we're loyal to God, all these evil things will not happen. But we're not. You know, I mean, think of the barbarianism in this planet. Do you think the barbarianism in this planet is the will of God? I think not, right? So the evil that we see manifested is the evil in the hearts of men themselves, sinful men, right? We make a difference, every one of us.
So you're saying that all these so-called wars we have, which I don't believe in, are the manifestations of powerful, evil people.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, we agree on that.
Really there's no such thing as the devil tempting anybody. It's free will evil.
Free will evil. You got it, Letch. You hit it on the head. All the evil we see is the free will of men choosing every day. Okay. And that's why I was talking about last week. Remember when I had the discussion on trust? You know, the Melchizedeks are famous for their self-government because they never betray their trust. And that's why we have such a problem in this world is our leaders, people we have assigned to represent us, do not stick to their trust and do their job. Okay. And that's how, what happens? The evil manifests itself, right? Governments are not in essence evil on their own. It's the people that runs the governments that's evil, right?
I was, may I interject something?
Yeah.
I ran across somebody, I couldn't tell you who anymore, but we was discussing how our, people don't trust the government anymore. And the person made a statement, says that phenomena is worldwide.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that is of some significance, that worldwide people don't trust government. Because at one time, like in the 1945s, 80% of people had full wholehearted trust with them. They said, go to war, we went to war.
Listen,
Nowadays,
I went
they go to war, and why?
I went in the Navy during Vietnam, and I went in the Navy because I felt it was my duty to my country to serve my country. I don't believe in war. I've never believed in war, but I believe in your right to exercise as a citizen your commitment to this country. I believe that. I believe the country was good. I believe our goals were good back then. And it's not until here lately that I don't trust anyone in government anymore. And I'm considered a disabled veteran. I see it in the VA, I see it in the government, I see it in all these world governments. It's because of what we talked about last week, is they've misused their trust. And Millie hit it right on the head. It's the money, right? Money corrupts, and absolute power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? That's the way it works. And so we need direction. We could use right now 12 Melchizedeks that appeared before all the governments and said, hey, you guys need to straighten this out. We really could. I mean, I think that'd be the best thing that ever happened. And eventually, after adjudication is finished, that will happen, right? They'll straighten this mess out. I have full confidence of that. I love this country. I've always loved this country, but I hate what the politicians has turned it into, right? And it's just a bad direction that we're going in. And the problem is this: the majority of people know that. You don't have to, people aren't stupid, So anyway, let's get off of that. Let's go on to the next one. These eldest sons. Rodney, would you take that one, please?
Yes, of course. These eldest sons of a universe are the chief aides of the bright and morning star in carrying out the mandates of the Creator Son. When a Melchizedek goes to a remote world in the name of Gabriel, he may, for the purposes of that particular mission, be deputized in the name of the sender, and in that event will appear on the planet of assignment with the full authority of the bright and morning star. Especially is this true on those spheres where a higher sun has not yet appeared in the likeness of the creatures of the realm.
So when this happens and he comes in deputized in the name of Gabriel, this Melchizedek has absolute power on that planet, period. Because Gabriel has absolute power over everything, right? As the chief executive. Okay, so these sons can go to planets that haven't had a creator son, a magisterial son, or any high son of God that comes to their planet, and they can rule things in the name of Gabriel, if that be the case. All right.
Roger, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are Melchizedeks are spiritual enough that they don't need a vehicle to transport them.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Right. They are.
They
They
just
they,
go
they
through.
wouldn't. They go through space on their own because they're the highest non-spiritual. When I say non-spiritual, they're just under a spiritual being. They're more like on the highest Urantia level. So they're able to negotiate earned space. And what is their earned space? All of the local universe, right?
Sure.
So they probably can negotiate super universe space all the way to paradise too. But I'm, more than likely. So, but yeah, they can come to the planet on their own and just appear, right? Probably think about it this way, Rodney. Gabriel was involved in including all in creating all the angelic core, right? What's
Correct.
part of the angelic core? Seraphim, right? What's part of the seraphim core? Transport seraphim, right? So if Gabriel created transport seraphim, I'm sure since the first being they created was Father Melchizedek, I'm sure the Melchizedeks are capable of negotiating space just like the angels are, right? I mean, it would make sense anyways, be logical. Could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. So, all right. Next, Millie, would you take the next one, please?
Yes. When a creator son enters into the bestowal career on an evolutionary world, he goes alone. But when one of his paradise brothers, an evonal son, enters upon a bestowal, he's accompanied by the Melchizedek supporters, 12 in number, who so efficiently contribute to the success of the bestowal mission. They also support the paradise of Onals on magisterial missions to the inhabited worlds. And in these assignments, the Melchizedeks are visible to mortal eyes if the Avonal son is also thus manifest.
Okay, so if a Avonal son shows up and makes himself visible, the Melchizedeks will be visible also. Okay, now that may not always be the case with what? A bestowal mission. You see the difference here? There's two types of missions for magisterial sons. They have magisterial missions and they have bestowal missions. And notice in this picture, it's got a Avonal on bestowal mission, and notice he's wrapped up like a baby. You see that? Okay. The reason he's wrapped up like a baby is because he's going through an entire life just like Jesus did. Right. So he's manifested as the being, the type of being that's on that planet. In our case, it was humans, right? On another planet, it may be a gray being. It may be who knows what, right? But when that happens, the Melchizedeks that come with him would not normally be what? Visible, right? Because the bestowal mission is in a physical form like the being of the planet. So the Melchizedeks are automatically visible to the people. They just come and support people, right? Now, at any time on the Avonal mission, the Paradise Son can request to make the magisterial sons visible, okay? But normally they wouldn't be on a bestowal mission because it would take away from the experience of the Avonal son on his bestowal mission. And all Avonal sons only do one bestowal mission out of their missions. There's 7 missions. Okay, so they only do it once. Okay. All right. And let's go into the next paragraph because it talks about some of this. All right. Jane, would you take the next paragraph, please?
Okay. There is no phase of planetary spiritual need to which they do not minister. They are the teachers who so often win whole worlds of advanced life to the final and full recognition of the Creator's Son and his Paradise Father.
So just like Jesus, they go through the mission and they try to show what a son of God is and our relationship to God the Father. Latch, would you take the next one?
Okay. The Melchizedeks are well nigh perfect in wisdom, but they are not infallible in judgment. When detached and alone on planetary missions, they have sometimes erred in minor matters. That is, they have elected to do certain things which their supervisors did not subsequently approve. Such an error of judgment temporarily disqualifies a Melchizedek until he goes to Salvington and in audience with the Creator's Son receives that instruction which effectually purges him of the disharmony which caused disagreement with his fellows. And then, following the correctional rest, reinstatement to service ensues on the third day. But these minor misadaptations in Melchizedek function have rarely occurred in Nebuchadnezzar.
I find this really interesting. There's a correctional rest. Do y'all see that?
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how long that is, right? It's like, well, maybe you ought to go to sleep for a little while and take a break. And then when you come back on the third day, you'll be straight back out. I thought that was kind of
They put
interesting.
him in timeout.
They put him in
Yeah.
timeout.
Good way to
First,
put it.
they have to go before the Creator's Son and he explains what he's done wrong and put him back in harmony with his brothers and sisters, right? All right. Gary, would you take the next sentence?
Okay. It's a long one.
Yeah,
These sons are not an increasing order. Their number is stationary, although varying in each local universe. The number of Melchizedeks of record on their headquarters planet in Nebadon is upward to 10 million.
if it's upward of 10 million, there's at least one for every planet that'll be created, right? So there are 10 million Melchizedek. That's a lot of teachers,
So-
right?
We won't, as we ascend, we will not have the opportunity to become a Melchizedek.
No, we will never
don't-
become
Kind
any.
of disappointed, okay? I think we should issue a correction notice.
Well, we don't become any of these sons of God. We don't become life carriers, Verandadeks, or Lananondeks, along with Melchizedeks, because we gain experience as human beings, but we have to learn all they have to learn and more as we go up through there, preparing us for first stage spirits. Right? All right. The Melchizedek worlds. Rodney, would you take that first paragraph?
Oh, yes. The Melchizedeks occupy a world of their own near Salvington, the universe headquarters. The sphere, by name Melchizedek, is the pilot world of the Salvington circuit of 70 primary spheres, each of which is encircled by 6 tributary spheres devoted to specialized activities. These marvelous spheres, 70 primaries and 420 tributaries, are often spoken of as the Melchizedek University. Ascending mortals from all the constellations of Nebadon pass through training on all 490 worlds and the acquirement of residential status on Salvington. But the education of ascenders is only one phase of the manifold activities taking place on the Salvington cluster of architectural spheres.
Okay, so this is important, and it's hard to understand this the way they break this down. But there's 490 spheres that surround Salvington. Okay, 70 of them are the spheres for each of the types of worlds for all the different types of sons of God and some others. The reason I want to explain it that way, the first 10 and the pilot world is world number 1, the first one that was created, and that was for the Melchizedek, right? And then the next 9 were created after that were all Melchizedek's worlds. But what I want to show you is this picture here. You see how Salvington, it's surrounded by worlds for every type of being, right? We have 7 Melchizedek worlds. Did I say 10? I said 7 of each type. Melchizedek worlds, Verandadek, Lananandek, spheres for the life carriers, the world of the phonalators, the 7 worlds of the brilliant evening stars, and the worlds of the archangels. And these all surround Salvington. And for each one of these, there are 6 more spheres that surround them, just like this picture up here. Okay, so that's how you come up with 490. And each one of these spheres is used for different things, right? So for instance, these 7 worlds, the first one's the pilot world, the second one's the physical life schools, and the next one's Urantia life, and it goes on and on. We're going to go through what each one of these worlds is a little bit further down here. Okay, but this is our pathway. It shows here the planet Earth, and the first world we go is to Jerusalem, which is our local system capital. And before we actually go to the system capital, though, what do we have to go through? The 7 mansion worlds that surround it, right? All right. Well, actually, the 7 worlds that surround it, the mansion worlds are satellites for the first one, right? Then we go to Urantia, which is our constellation headquarters, right? And from there, we go to the pilot world of the Melchizedek's. This is showing a different world. It's one of the Melchizedek worlds, is the pilot world. So the picture is kind of wrong. But we go to the pilot world of the Melchizedek's, and we go through all 490 worlds before we go to where? Salvington. Okay. So we go through all of them at one time or another. And they're going to talk about what we do in some of these worlds. All right. Jane, would you take that first paragraph and the 7 things under that, please?
Okay. The 490 spheres of Salvington circuit are divided into 10 groups, each containing 7 primary and 42 tributary spheres. Each of these groups is under the general supervision of someone of the major orders of universe life. The first group, embracing the pilot world and the next 6 primary spheres in the encircling planetary procession, is under the supervision of the Melchizedeks. These Melchizedek worlds are: number 1, the pilot world, the home world of the Melchizedek sons. Second, the world of the physical life schools and the laboratories of living energies. 3, the world of Urantia life. 4, the sphere of initial spirit life. 5, the world of mid-spirit life. 6, the sphere of advancing spirit life. 7, the domain of coordinate and supreme self-realization. Wow.
Now, every one of these worlds has specific things to teach us, okay? And that's why you go through every single one of them in order, all right? I'll read that last little sentence part. The 6 tributary worlds of each of these Melchizedek spheres are devoted to activities germane to the work of the associated primary spheres. So, for instance, if you're on the pilot world, the 6 spheres that surround it, you do work that's associated with the home world of the Melchizedek sons. Okay, and the next one, if you're on the world of the physical life schools and the laboratory of living energies, the 6 spheres that surround that will do work associated with those subjects. Okay, so each one of them has a purpose that we're going to have to learn about and go through. All right,
Yeah,
Letch, would you? That's a lot of worlds, right?
yeah.
A lot of work. Letch, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. The pilot world, the sphere Melchizedek, is the common meeting ground for all beings who are engaged in educating and spiritualizing the ascending mortals of time and space. And to an ascender, this world is probably the most interesting place in all Neberdom. All evolutionary mortals who graduate from their constellation training are destined to land on Melchizedek, where they are initiated into the regime of the disciplines and spirit progression of the Salvington educational system. And never will you forget your reactions to the first day of life on this unique world, not even after you have reached your paradise destination. Sounds exciting.
So, yeah, that sounds exciting, doesn't it? So they're saying that from the first day you land on that very first pilot world of the Melchizedeks, you'll never forget your experience from on that world forward. You know, you always remember it, even in the paradise. That's pretty
Pretty
special.
exciting.
Yeah, it is. All right, Millie, would you take the next one for us, please?
Yes. Am I turned on?
Yeah, you're good.
Ascending mortals maintain residence on the Melchizedek world while pursuing their training on the 6 encircling planets of specialized education. And this same method is adhered to throughout their sojourn on the 70 cultural worlds, the primary spheres of the Salvington circuit.
Okay, so you'll do this on all 70 of the worlds that surround Salvington and their satellites, right? So that's a lot of work. You know, you think about it.
I want to tell you something.
Yes.
I had a real buzzy sound on my computer and it went still. None of you moved, none of you talked, nothing. And all of a sudden, the window came up and said I could join again, and I joined again. I gave it a code, and back you came. But I had missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'd missed 7 paragraphs.
Really?
Yes, and
it just
also it's very strange with me because my screen is not working at all unless Millie speaks. And when Millie
Really?
speaks, I get the screen.
It may
Otherwise,
be
it's
some,
just flashing.
I think it's something to do with Zoom tonight, because I cannot get the Facebook link to work at all. And at first I couldn't get my camera to come up at all. So something's going on tonight with Zoom. I'm not exactly sure what it is. So that may be the problem. That means I don't know how the video is going to come out. Can the rest of y'all see me when I talk or not?
I can now, but during that time period I couldn't. But I will watch tomorrow. I'll watch the video and see if my machine recorded the video in spite of the fact that it was frozen.
Right. Yeah. That's strange. Well, I got one recording tonight, and that's the cloud, the recording on the cloud, because normally I make 3 copies. Diane makes a copy on the computer. I make one on the cloud, and then we put it on Facebook at the same time. And if in an emergency, I could pull the video from any of the 3, but we only have the cloud tonight because I couldn't get any of the rest of them working. So if the cloud doesn't come up, we're kind of out of luck tonight, unfortunately. All right, well, let's keep going and we'll try to get through at least the Melchizedek stuff tonight. All right, let's see. Let's take these one at a time. I'll take the very first one. Many diverse activities occupy the time of the numerous beings who reside on the 6 tributary worlds of the Melchizedek sphere. But as concerns the ascending mortals, these satellites are devoted to the following special phases of study. And this is real interesting. Gary, would you take the first one?
One, sphere number 1 is occupied with the review of the initial planetary life of the ascending mortals. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
This we're going to be held responsible for all the mess ups.
yeah.
This work is carried out in classes composed of those who hail from a given world of mortal origin. Those from Urantia pursue such an experiential review together.
Okay, let's think about this. This is a review of everything that happened in your finite life, right? And you do it in classes. So it kind of makes you think of group therapy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody's gone through the same type of experiences. So I guess they review everything that's supposed to happen in your mortal life and probably everything that happened on the planet during your mortal life, right?
I
So
bet there's
question,
going to be a lot of red faces.
well, the question is this, is that when they're going to go through the Urantia book? I don't know, because the Urantia book was brought to our planet for us. It's for the benefit of everyone. So if anybody doesn't get it, I'm wondering if they have to go through classes like this when they get to this first sphere to make sure everybody's on the same page. You follow me?
Mhm.
Because it's information you need to know. All right. Now, that doesn't stop there. Let's go on to number 2. Rodney, would you take number 2?
Yes, 2. The special work of sphere number 2 consists in a similar review of the experiences passed through on the mansion worlds, encircling the premier satellite of the local system headquarters.
So not only do you go through your finite world life all over again, but you go through your mansion world experiences all over again. Right?
That's weird. I wonder why they do that.
I don't know. It's interesting. Well, let's go on to the next one. Number 3. Jane, would you take number 3?
3. The reviews of this sphere pertain to the sojourn on the capital of the local system and embrace the activities of the remainder of the architectural worlds of the system headquarters cluster.
So all the worlds you go to on your system, you go through on this one. So you go through all those experiences again, right? And Letch, would you take number 4 for us there, please?
Sure. The 4th sphere is occupied with a review of the experiences of the 70 tributary worlds of the constellation and of their associated spheres.
So you review everything on the 70 worlds you went through on the constellation. They will make sure you remember everything you've learned, don't they? Right?
Yeah.
All right. Number 5, Millie, would you take number 5?
On the 5th sphere, there is conducted the review of the ascendant sojourn of the constellation headquarters world.
So they not only go through all the worlds associated with the 70 tributes of the constellation, but they spend another whole world just on your experiences on the constellation headquarters, right? All right. Number 6. Gary, would you take that one, please?
On the 5th sphere, there is conducted the review of the
No, the 6th. Number 6.
excuse me. The time on sphere number 6 is devoted to an attempt to correlate these 5 episodes and
Epics.
thus epics
Yep.
and thus anchor,
Achieve.
coordinate, and thus achieve coordination of, hold on, I'm having a hard time, experience preparatory to entering the Melchizedek's primary schools of universe training.
So they're preparing you. All this is preparing you to do what? To jump off onto the Melchizedek schools and go on from there. Okay, so they want to make sure you remember everything you've learned up to that point. So all these new Melchizedek experiences will be new stuff. And so that's why they do it this way. Kind of interesting, isn't it?
Mhm.
All right. Next one, Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Yes. The schools of universe administration and spiritual wisdom are located on the Melchizedek home world, where also are to be found those schools devoted to a single line of research, such as energy, matter, organization, communication, records, ethics, and comparative creature existence.
Can you kind of see why Lucifer was jealous of the humans? Because he didn't get to go through all this, right? And so he envied the fact that we get this experience and this training on such minute and great levels, right? So you can kind of understand that. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
In the Melchizedek College of Spiritual Endowment, all orders, even the Paradise orders of the sons of God, cooperate with the Melchizedek and the seraphic teachers in training the hosts who go forth as evangels of destiny, proclaiming spiritual liberty and divine sonship, even to the remote worlds of the universe. This particular school of the Melchizedek University is an exclusive universe institution. Student visitors are not received from other realms.
So after all this, they take some of the people from these classes and train them to go forth as evangels of destiny. What do you think these are? These are beings that go out and teach the remote planets and things like that what they have to come. Okay, where they are in the universe, what's supposed to happen, the divine sonship, that you're sons of God and God is your father. So you get to teach just like Jesus taught us, right? Evangels of destiny. All right, but they do not teach people in this university. They do not have student visitors from other universes. And they do not allow them to attend because it's just for this universe. All right. Lex, would you take the next one for us, please?
Okay. The highest course of training in universe administration is given by the Melchizedeks on their home world. This college of high ethics is presided over by the original father Melchizedek. It is to these schools that the various universes send exchange students. While the young universe of Nebadon stands low in the scale of universes as regards spiritual achievement and high official development, nevertheless, our administration troubles have so turned the whole universe into a vast clinic for other nearby creations that the Melchizedek's colleges are thronged with student visitors and observers from other realms. Besides the immense group of local registrants, there are always upward of 100,000 foreign students in attendance upon the Melchizedek schools. For the order of Melchizedek in Nebadon, it's renowned throughout all Splandon.
Okay. In other words, through all of our major
The
sectors. Yeah.
previous paradise ends with student visitors are not received from other realms.
Only into the college that's training the evangels, Millie.
Oh,
Okay, but
because-
everything else, they do not want to train them to become evangels for other universes, only ours. Okay, the
Sorry,
the
Roger, I
student-
apologize.
the student visitors are allowed into these colleges because the College of High Ethics is presided over the original father Melchizedek, and we are lacking in high ethics. Okay, why is it you think we're lacking in high ethics? Because of the rebellion, right? That's the planet. That's the problem with our planet, is we have very little ethics. Make sense?
After what you said prior, yes.
Yeah. What was your question, Jane?
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting, but
That's okay.
that paragraph that Millie was referring to, I had to reread part of it while we were reading. So I want to clarify, is that paragraph referring for the evangels? They are not finaliters or mortals who undergo those studies. They are seraphic teachers.
They are seraphic teachers and other orders, even paradise sons of God.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah. Most of them are seraphic teachers and Melchizedek's, Verandadek's, Lenonondek's.
But
Because
not
these are
mortals.
not mortals. These are the sons of God that go out to remote planets and other remote planets and tell everyone about God the Father and our sonship, right? That's not a job of mortals. That's a job of the local universe sons of God. And of course, seraphic teachers, right? Did I confuse that and make it sound like it was mortals?
No, you
probably
did
did.
not. No.
Okay. All right. I've done things like that. Wouldn't surprise me. Okay. So the reason we're known throughout all Splendon is because of the amount of rebellion in our local universe, right? For instance, we've had 3 rebellions in Nebadon so far. So that shows that we have some ethical issues. Make sense?
Mhm.
All right. Okay, it's 53. I don't think we're going to get through this. Let's try to get a couple more paragraphs. Special work of the Melchizedeks. Let's see who's up. I think Millie's up, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but
special work of the Melchizedeks. A highly specialized branch of Melchizedek activities has to do with the supervision of the progressive Urantia career and the ascending mortals. Much of this training is conducted by the patient and wise seraphic ministers, assisted by mortals who have ascended to relatively high levels of universe attainment. But all of this educational work is under the general supervision of the Melchizedeks in association with the Trinity teacher sons.
so we can aspire to do this, right? We can aspire to be teachers and help out the Melchizedeks and the Trinity teacher son if we attain high standing, right? So that's our possibility. All right, Gary, would you take the next one too, please?
While the Melchizedek's order are chiefly devoted to the vast educational system and experimental training regime of the local universe, they also function in unique assignments and in unusual circumstances in an evolving universe, eventually embracing approximately 10 million inhabited worlds. Excuse me. Many things out of the ordinary are destined to happen. And it is in such emergencies that the Melchizedeks act. On Eddington,
Adentia.
on Adentia, our constellation headquarters, they are known as emergency sons. They are always ready to serve in all emergencies, physical and
Exigencies. Yeah, not emergencies. Yeah,
exigencies, physical,
right.
intellectual, and spiritual, whether on a planet, in a system, in a constellation, or in the universe. Whenever and wherever special help is needed, there you will find one of or more of the Melchizedek sons. Sounds like
They're
the
like-
seal.
Yeah, they're emergency signs, right? They go out and straighten things out, right?
The one we had.
Yeah, exactly. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Of course. When failure of some feature of the Creator Son's plan is threatened, forthwith will go Melchizedek to render assistance. But not often are they summoned to function in the presence of sinful rebellion, such as occurred in Satania.
So it's not that common for them to go out in a case of a rebellion because it doesn't happen that often, right? Most of the emergencies they take care of, they don't have to do that. All right, Jane, would you take the next one? We're gonna get through this section tonight. That'll be fun.
Melchizedeks are the first to act in all emergencies of whatever nature on all worlds where will creatures dwell. They sometimes act as temporary custodians on wayward planets, serving as receivers of a defaulting planetary government. In a planetary crisis, these Melchizedek sons serve in many unique capacities. It is easily possible for such a son to make himself visible to mortal beings, and sometimes one of this order has even incarnated in the likeness of mortal flesh. 7 times in Abaddon has a Melchizedek served on an evolutionary world in the similitude of mortal flesh, and on numerous occasions, these sons have appeared in the likeness of other orders of universe creatures. They are indeed the versatile and volunteer emergency ministers to all orders of universe intelligences and to all the worlds and systems of worlds.
So they can appear in any kind of creature they want to, right? And they've appeared like Machiaventia Melchizedek 7 times in our local universe. This happened before, right? All right. Let's get this last paragraph and we'll quit for the night. Yeah, yeah, Millie. I can't hear you, Millie. Turn your mic on.
If one of them appeared on this planet, would we know it?
If he made himself appear, if he made himself appear, yeah, we would know it, right? Now, there's a difference between appearing and incarnating like Machiaventia did. When Machiaventia incarnated, he incarnated as a human just like every other human on this planet, right?
Yes. Yes.
He didn't just appear, right? But they are capable of appearing, and they're capable of appearing in the same form of any type of being that lives on that planet, right?
Like a polar bear.
Yeah, if you're a polar bear planet and that's your people, he'd appear looking like a polar bear, right? Right? Makes sense? Right? Okay, let you get the privilege of the last paragraph there.
Okay. Now Melchizedek, who lived on Urantia during the time of Abraham, was locally known as Prince of Salem because he presided over a small colony of truth seekers residing at a place called Salem. He volunteered to incarnate in the likeness of mortal flesh and did so with the approval of the Melchizedek receivers of the planet, who feared that the light of life would become extinguished during that period of increasing spiritual darkness. And he did foster the truth of his day and safely passed it on to Abraham and his associates.
And we know what Salem was, right? It became what? Jerusalem, right? And all concepts of God the Father, all religions originated with whom?
Melchizedek.
Melchizedek, right? First, there were the Jews, and there was the Christians, then the Muslims, right? And like I've said before, that then probably the Christians, we have the Catholics, the Protestants, and eventually the Urantians, right? We're going to be in there sooner or later.
How did Akhenaten fit in that? Because he was promoting a monotheistic religion.
Hey, what type of religion? Say that again.
Akhenaten, the Egyptian pharaoh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He
Was he
came
before
after.
Mel-
No,
Melchizedek?
no, he came after Abraham.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. As a matter of fact, all the pharaohs came after Abraham.
Okay.
And that would be much later, right? Would that be
No,
much?
not that. No, not that much later. It was close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could it be
All
said
right.
that maybe Akhenaten got the idea from Salem?
Not only that, but I believe it was a handmaid that was. Let me see if I can remember this correctly, because it's been so long since I read it. I believe it was a handmaid to the mother, one of the mothers or daughters of Abraham.
Hmm.
One of the descendants of Abraham. So he got his idea about the one God, or the sun god, from this handmaiden.
Oh,
Okay. Of course, the women never get credit for anything, right? You know, even Moses was trained by a woman, right? Did we know that? We knew that
No,
before, right?
no.
Yeah. Even
That's
Moses was
interesting.
raised by a woman that trained him about the one concept of one God. Okay.
And you know, Roger, we kind of still do that. I mean, when I say we, I mean the mother spirit. It was all through most our religions completely bypassed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, the mother spirits never mentioned up until the Urantia book, right?
In the
It's
three religions like Judaism,
no, not at
Christianity, and
all.
Islam. Yeah.
And
all
I'm
the three.
even shocked that Jesus did not mention her, right? I guess he felt like they weren't ready for
They weren't ready, no.
they weren't ready.
her. Okay, so let's say a little quick prayer and we'll close for the night. And I hope everything came out all right. On the video, we'll see. Jane, would you like to close us on a short prayer?
Okay. My beloved Father, we give you thanks for this evening. We thank you for Roger and for each and every one of us here present. We thank you for the gifts you bestow to us, most of which we are unaware of. And we give you thanks and praise. We thank you for every breath that we take. May we be messengers of your love, and may we always try to follow the teachings of Jesus, Michael of Nebadon. Amen.
Amen. And thank you at home for joining us. Please come see us again. Let me stop the recording here. Hope this came out okay today.
I hope so.
Me too.
Yeah.